apparently Donald Trump is very upset. He keeps losing all these court cases because he was guaranteed, in his mind, and maybe he was, that if he let Leonard Leo, who was the head of the Federalist Society, which is the right-wing judicial organization that basically, if you want to have any future in politics, or I should say in the law, and you're a Republican, you join this organization. And that's the way, if you want to become a judge, you end up becoming a judge. The Federalist Society has incredibly tight ranks. It is, I don't think that there has been a single Republican appointed judge in probably over a decade or two even, who has not been a member of the Federalist Society. Young Republicans who go into the law, they all joined. Cenk Uygur, famous former Federalist Society member back in the day, had the good sense to quit that organization when he went into progressive media. Anyways, Leonard Leo was responsible for every judge that Donald Trump appointed in his first term, including the ones who sat on the trade court that ruled against him. Donald Trump was very angry with Leonard Leo. I think we read off a tweet from him last week, or not a tweet, a truth bomb or whatever they call it on his site, and saying that he's a scumbag. Whoa. And Leonard Leo responded with, "We were very successful under the Trump administration, and hopefully we'll continue that work," because Leonard Leo doesn't care. Leonard Leo, incidentally, also received $1 billion in terms of funding for his right-wing organization, and it's gone sort of like underground as to what they're going on. It's not the Federalist Society. They're trying to build out a bunch of other mechanisms, and we don't hear much reporting on it as of late. But we've got to dig around for maybe somebody who's followed up on that. But here is Stephen Miller, enraged that all his immigration stuff is being slowed in some fashion. We know it's been reported that he yelled at, he and Kristi Noem wanted a 3,000 person detainment every day from ICE. And now he's mad that ICE is just looking for criminals. He's like, I want everybody gone. And here he is talking about about Leonard Leo.
That's democracy. So if there's 15 communist crazy judges on the court, that each of them as a team working together can block and freeze each and every executive action. Joe Biden was allowed by that same court system.
Some of them are Trump judges, though. Are they? Why did Trump put these crazy communist judges, as you call them, on the bench?
You heard President Trump himself say that the Federalist Society and Leonard Leo has created a broken system for judicial vetting. And God knows this time around, we are not going to be using... So does that mean he doesn't support picking Amy Coney Barrett for the Supreme Court? What it means is simply this and nothing more. We're not going to be using the Federal Society to make judicial nominations at all going forward. But let me tell you about these rogue judges. This is the most litigated issue over the last 10 years. Over the last 10 years, whether or not to deport the foreigners who invaded our country illegally. That is the most litigated issue. Okay.
So he's claiming he's not going to let the Federalist Society do the vetting. Yeah. But I assure you, every single judge that they pick will be Federalist Society. Now, there may be some who are a little bit rogue.
Well,
that's the infrastructure.
The problem for them is that, I mean, on at least the tariff stuff, right, that trade court that was one Obama appointee, obviously communists, and then the two communists appointed by Trump and Reagan. They ruled against the administration's actions here because some of the suits being brought against the Liberation Day tariffs are by stalwart conservative groups that are worried about profitability. Like, this is bad for the economy, and that's the one thing that they care about.
Yeah, they're mad that and there are a lot of the Federalist Society people also question the tariffs.
Right.
And what Trump is going to be looking for are people who are, obviously members of the Federalist Society, but have shown in some other capacity total loyalty to Donald Trump. He wants more Judge Cannons.
Yeah.
Essentially.
And it's just incredible because, like, Trump could have done the tariffs in a way that would have made it more resilient to these legal challenges. But he is doing many of these executive actions, at least in the first 100+ days of his administration, through emergency powers. He invoked the 1977 law that was an Emergency Economic Powers Act to implement the tariffs, as opposed to doing it through like more traditional means where it would have you needed public review, you would have needed some sort of debate on it. But he wants to be able to do things unilaterally, and that's causing problems for him in the courts. I just wanted to, some of the stuff from Stephen Miller is crazy. The Washington Examiner is a conservative paper, so I think it's interesting that they have such detailed exchanges between Stephen Miller and dozens of senior U.S. immigrations and customs enforcement officials a few weeks ago. Now they're reporting on it. The official spoke to the Washington Examiner. They've been threatened. They've been told they're watching their emails and texts and signals from the Trump administration in terms of like if they're not going to follow through on the mass deportation goals. The other quote was that Miller came in there and eviscerated everybody. You guys aren't doing a good job. You're horrible leaders. He ripped into everybody, and so and was mad that they were going after criminals. Stephen Miller wants everybody arrested, and then his quote, according to this official: "Why aren't you at Home Depot? Why aren't you at 7-Eleven? What do you mean you're going after criminals?"
There you go.
Meaning they want to go to places where, say, Home Depot, somebody's waiting for work, or at 7-Eleven, somebody is
or court date
working. Yeah, they don't want the criminals. He said it in this meeting.
Well, of course, and ICE is already doing this. I mean, they're that's the irony. They're already doing this.
Yeah.
They can't find criminals.
That's literally what Obama, Trump, and Biden administrations prior were doing.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.